question is, if you want to get involved in filmmaking, if you want to get involved in video making, do you need a formal qualification in order to make it happen? Traditionally, there's film school, right? Very, very expensive, but very specific knowledge on the film industry. You've also got many qualifications, university degrees, masters, etc., all specifically around the industry or the art of filmmaking or creating video, or maybe for you it's photography. Is it important to be formally qualified? So I'm very fortunate. I'm counted as a Canon ambassador, a GT member, have a small, cool production company, and we're really fortunate that the work that we create and the stories we tell, they're appreciated by clients and also many of you across various platforms that watch. But my qualifications amount to 0. No, that's not 6, it's 0, right? Nothing. Right? I'm essentially self-taught. So I personally, from my own personal life experience, don't feel that it is 100% the most important thing to be qualified. I'm very sorry, Jamie. Jamie, come in front, Jamie. So Jamie is on, in a way, work experience, but he is on as an intern working here. Get inside the audience and get inside the camera. All right, get out now, get out, right. You're definitely a man for behind the camera, not to be in front. You are studying media production.
Yeah.
All right. So in a way, this question came from Jamie, and I've decided to answer this question here on YouTube. Jamie, well done. I don't think it's the most important thing. Now, the reason I say that is because the thing that people look at is what it is that you've created. And they look at your skill and they look at your creativity. The thing that people say about, all right, let's say an artist or a singer, okay? The reason that you engage with them or the reason you like what it is that they do or like how they sound, it's down to an innate talent, all right? A talent is not scored on a scorecard. You do not get a certificate and say, I am talented, all right? It's something that you have from within you, and ideally, you can build on top of that. And it is true, Jamie, that you can build on top of any talent that you do have. And sometimes formal education will enable you to do that. If you have something from within you, sometimes you can use education just to build on top. Question for you, Jamie. And for those of you who are watching as well, I would love to see your responses to this in the comments below. If you were involved in education and anything connected with the media or an arts, would you say that what you're doing is very practical and hands-on, or would you say that it's largely theoretical? I would love you to leave a comment. Jamie's in a fortunate position. You can answer me right now.
It's very much theory. There's elements of practical, but the level of practicality is very basic. For a university level, I think it should be much higher.
So just in case you didn't hear that, Jamie said that most of what he does in his formal education is theoretical. There are elements of practicality, but it's mostly theoretical. Jamie, why is it that you knocked on my door at Vivida and said you wanted to come here and hang out with us for the summer?
Because it was work experience that I knew I'd be able to get hands-on with equipment and learn pretty much every single day.
Okay.
I've learned more here than I have at university after nearly 3 years.
Ouch. Did you hear that? Okay. Jamie, like we need to put some signs on camera or something here, right? Jamie's been involved in education in university for 3 years, but in the time that you've been here, in what, the 3 months, he feels that he's learned more in the 3 months. Being on the ground, the phrase that he used was hands-on. Being hands-on has meant that he's provided him with more knowledge and he's grown and built more over the 3 months than in the 3 years with a formal university education. So for me, my experience comes from being on the ground. Now, the thing that is great about formal education is you do not know what you don't know. Right? So sometimes you will find when you're self-taught like me, there's little gaps in knowledge or there's little questions that you don't know that you don't know. And when you go for a very formal qualification that's very structured, even though it may be theoretical, it's structured in a way that there's often, there are not quite the same gaps in the same areas. But what can happen is you may end up coming out of formal education, picking up a camera and going, what do I do? Where do I press the buttons, etc., etc. Or the technology may be old and antiquated. Now, I wouldn't say that's the same with film school, but film school is immensely expensive. And you imagine the cost that you might spend on university or film school and then spending it on physical equipment, hands-on knowledge, hey, even workshops. Or perhaps if you don't want to spend money, do what Jamie did, which is knock on some doors until someone lets you in and says, hey, come in, touch my cameras, have a play, become useful and learn at the same time. For me, that's my type of education. I realized very, very early on that I was not someone that particularly enjoyed formal education. I don't learn so well, anyone that knows me, from the printed word or from being lectured to. Okay, I'm stimulated in a different way. I want to be able to hold a camera. I want to press record. I want to understand what it means to direct somebody in front of the camera, someone in front of the camera. I want to know what it feels like to have your heart beating because you're being asked by a client to produce something. These are all things that happen when you get out there and you make something happen. You may be in a situation where you want to change the industry that you're working in, and the new area that you want to work in, well, they just want you to have a degree, and a degree is mandatory. Then of course that can make sense. There may be certain establishments where if you want to go into a corporation and start working, maybe as a filmmaker, that they want to be able to, they do a filter, and their filter is look for people who have got a particular qualification. Then when you've got that batch, look at that batch and filter through them and see whose work is good. But I promise you, if you create really good, amazing, standout work, your work will rise to the top no matter what qualification you have. Because the great thing is that we live in a world of social media. In fact, Canon found me through Facebook. I was posting my work onto Facebook, and one day, knock, knock at the door, open the door, and it was Canon saying, can we come in? I said, yes. All right. And then we started to talk, and they said, hey, we've been watching your work over the past year, and we like what we see. And I was like, really? Right. And it was highly encouraging. And they said, so what education do you have? They said, what awards have you won? And I said, I have no formal education and I have no awards. But it didn't stop them wanting to engage, and it didn't stop me becoming a Canon Explorer on the Ambassador program, right? Because the thing that mattered the most was the ability to back up your creativity with real videos or productions or photography as it then was. So formal education can be something that's useful, but it is not the most important thing. If you are currently in education, I do not want you to think, Jamie, what a waste of time. No, the key thing, take the formal education that you already invested in, make the most of it. Right? Perhaps there are people who are in the same class as you that could form your future production company. Maybe you are in the best zone right now because you're hanging out with people who have the same love of the same things as you, right? And you get to bounce off them, you get to feed off them. This may be the only opportunity you have in your life right now, because in future you may be a freelancer, you may be someone who ends up working by themselves, you may be the only film expert in a large production company, and right now you're among 20, 30, 40, 100 people who all love filmmaking. So make the most of that. But also, as you're going through your formal education, make sure that you get practical. Make sure that you get hands-on. It doesn't matter if you do not have a flipping assignment, right? It doesn't matter if there's no piece of homework that says get out there and shoot. Don't be lazy. Make sure you get out there, take a camera, shoot something. Make sure that you get out there and you collaborate with the peers that you have, who you're working with and training with. Find small businesses, even if you're not getting paid for it, and shoot something, because the thing that means the most is not what's on a piece of paper. It's the end result that you end up producing. So with that in mind, I think it's an exceptionally positive thing that we all have a chance of succeeding, because the only limitation to our work and our future as a filmmaker, as a creative, as a photographer, is purely the work that we do. And we are in 100% control of that because we are able to learn, whether it be through formal mechanisms like education or now, hey, YouTube. If you like what you've been listening to during the course of this video, please make sure you enjoy some of the other videos that we have here prepared for you on YouTube, and make sure that you subscribe. I really appreciate any comments that you have been leaving down in the video below. If you have an idea for a future video, please make sure you leave it in the comments below, and feel free to join me on Twitter. Chat. Tweet, tweet.